what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
All of us need to be reminded that the federal government did not create the states. The states created the federal government.
I think a big problem that we have right now is that there is obviously a clear social agenda to move towards world government. It's a slow, steady dissolution of our rights, little by little. The TSA sticking their hands down our pants, us submitting to them, 6-year-old children. They could be Al-Qaeda. It's outrageous.
We're the Transportation Security Administration. We're working hard to ensure that you enjoy a secure flight. And while we cannot apprehend every terrorist, you can count on us to do what we are trained to do whenever there's a security breach. Overreact to tiny threats. When a man walked the wrong way through a gate at Newark Airport, we closed the terminal for 6 hours. When a passenger in Bakersfield, California packed honey in his luggage, we shut the whole airport down. And when a toddler in New Orleans tried to take a Christmas present on board, we confiscated it. Sorry, Junior, we're not taking any chances. No threat is too big for us to ignore, and no threat is too small for us to make your travel experience as miserable as possible. Overreact to small threats, ignore the big ones. That's what we do, and we do it better than anyone.
And did you see the picture of the 6-year-old kid being frisked a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, there was some video. In the age of cell phone cameras and all the rest of it, you get these kind of videos pretty regularly now. But it goes to a larger question, Secretary Napolitano, about balancing security with personal freedom. I mean, nobody likes to see this little girl being patted down, although it was done in a professional way, we should say, but still. And you see old ladies in wheelchairs being patted down. We still have to take off our shoes all these years later. How much do you think about and talk about balancing?
This is called social control. Take off your shoes. Submit.
Likes to see those kinds
Remember,
of
the
things,
Nazis made everybody get naked before they killed them.
According to the protocol.
I think I'm a big fan of the TSA. I don't like it, John, but that's the airport's fault.
I have too.
This was the scene at the Tri-Rail station in West Palm Beach. West Palm Beach police led the exercise along with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and officials from the Transportation Safety Administration. This was part of a 3-county exercise stretching south from the Palm Beaches to Miami.
Under the Future Attribute Screening Technologies, or FAST program, the Department of Homeland Security is developing innovative physiological and behavioral screening technologies to streamline the screening process at security checkpoints. At special events, attendees pass through the screening mobile module. Inside the screening mobile module, a suite of real-time, non-invasive sensors measure behavioral and physiological indications of malintent, or the intent or desire to cause harm.
Are you from the local area? Do you plan to detonate an explosive at the expo today? Do you plan to illegally record any information at the expo today?
The ACLU says Michigan State Police are hiding something when it comes to a device used to read people's cell phones during traffic stops. The Tops Local 4 News at 6. A lot of drivers have never been asked by an officer to turn over their cell phone, but it is happening, and the ACLU says every driver deserves to know why.
Well, the controversy is over so-called cell phone extraction devices technology that reveals what's inside your cell phones, even the deleted items.
The things you can't find anymore. Bora Kim is live with more on this debate. And Bora, how long have the state police had these devices?
Devin, quite possibly for several years now, but no one really knows for sure. An answered FOIA request from back in 2008 did reveal that MSP was indeed in possession of these devices.
Several cities are putting into place state-of-the-art technology the policemen actually wear that documents every moment, every dramatic moment as they chase suspects through the streets.
A tiny camera mounted on a headset worn by the officer. A microphone is attached to the policeman's uniform. A computer on the device captures everything that happens.
It is kind of like Big Brother's watching over you. Before all this wonderful technology became available, you went into the courtroom, you swore to tell the truth. That was how it worked.
Like it or not, authorities believe this technology is probably coming to a police force near you.
A company called American Science and Engineering has begun selling something known as backscatter vans to law enforcement throughout the United States. And what these vans do is they have X-ray technology on them that allows the driver and the people in the van to see through houses. And they can detect human bodies, drugs, and weapons through the houses using these X-rays on the vans.
From the outside, the ZBV looks like an ordinary delivery van, allowing it to blend in to urban and other landscapes. Yet, as it passes by cars, trucks, containers, and other objects, its unparalleled X-ray screening system provides photo-like images, detecting explosives, weapons, contraband, and stowaways. The ZBV provides still another important tool, radioactive threat detection. This feature can find both dirty bombs and nuclear devices.
Social control and manipulation. Subconsciously planting the seed of terrorism, such as on 9/11, when, interestingly enough, we were preparing for the very same drill that occurred.
It's only a drill. Law enforcement agencies have converged on Manhattan.
And it's for a wide-scale operation simulating a radioactive dirty bomb attack.
There is no known threat, but this drill, which began with a massive deployment this morning at the UN, includes the NYPD and 70 other law enforcement agencies from across our region. It will run through Saturday. Practice for the real thing, a dirty bomb, or an explosive device that uses radioactive materials to contaminate the area around the blast site. The officers are working on a specific scenario that involves trying to stop 4 fictional terror cells, which are using radiological materials in an effort to carry out an attack on New York City. New York City Police Commissioner Ray Kelly says this week New Yorkers can expect to see a heightened presence near bridges, transit hubs, and on the waters around New York City.
We'll be manning up to 400 checkpoints throughout the metropolitan area to test our ability to intercept radiological material. There actually will be samples of radiological material.
The drivers we met at the checkpoint were, of course, delayed, but on board with the program.
We need to be protected, and whatever means necessary.
You don't have a problem with the holdup?
No, why not? As long as I'm protected, I'm good.
With this day's state that what's happening in the world is needed. I mean, we're at war on all fronts, so it's best to start here.
Social control. They are trying to dehumanize us. It is a Nazi tactic. I mean, there are fasci in our government on the walls of the Congress. Sticks bundled together with hatchets, the symbol of the fasci. The banksters can ask for trillions, and henny penny, the sky's going to fall if we don't give them what they want. They hold the cards. And we must rebel against them. It's the bankers. We have to end the Federal Reserve. If we don't end the Fed, there's nowhere... This cannot work. Our society will crumble, and we will become slaves to this authoritarian system unless we take back our government from the criminals who've hijacked it.
It's a great scam because people even today are thinking that they have to choose between the right or the left, not realizing that no matter which way they go, they've accepted basically the same ideology underneath. Now, it's true that the leaders of these groups, like the Stalins of the world and the Adolf Hitlers of the world and the Mao Zedongs of the world and so forth, the leaders of these groups on left and right will fight each other, and they will go to war with each other, and there will be tremendous battles, as we saw in World War II, for example. But what are they fighting over? Ideology? Not at all, because they agree on ideology. What they're fighting over is dominance. Who is going to rule? That's all they're fighting over. And once you get that picture, historically, it's not too difficult to see that that's the same thing going on even today. That's certainly going on in American politics. We have the left versus the right sort of embodied today in the Republican Party supposedly on the right and the Democrat Party supposedly on the left. Now here's a choice, isn't there? Well, why is it if this is such a choice? So we go from Republicans to Democrats, and then 4 years or 8 years later we go back to Republicans again, and we keep doing this. We've been doing this since World War I. How come the country keeps moving in the same direction all the time, deeper and deeper and deeper into collectivism, regardless of which party is in favor, because they both believe in collectivism. They both believe in big government. Their slogans are different, their leaders are different, but the poor voter out there trying to make sense of all this is, he's tricked, he's stuck, he's trapped. And so this is the important thing to, I think, understand, that this left-right paradigm is it's a political ploy. It works very well for those who know what they're doing. We find that the Republican Party and the Democrat Party both are pretty much in the hands of a relatively small group of people with a membership of about 4,000. It's called the Council on Foreign Relations. These are the people that are really pulling the strings in both the Republican and the Democrat Party. And they've even written about it. There's a fellow by the name of Carroll Quigley, who's a former history professor at Georgetown University. By the way, he was the mentor of William Clinton when Clinton was a student there. And he wrote several books about this group of people and their origins and their roots coming from Europe and England in particular. And he comes to a very interesting point in one of his books where he says, okay, this is the way the real world is. He said, how is it that we collectivists, we elitists, how can we rule the world when at the same time we want to let the average person think that they're living in a, quote, democracy? They're living in a system where their vote counts. They're living in this world in which they feel that they must participate in their own political destiny. This is a carefully nurtured myth that they want to create, so people will be content with no matter what happens to them, they'll say, well, I voted for it, or I did it. This government is my government. No matter how bad it is, it's responsible to me. And as long as people have that image, then they don't complain so much about how bad it gets, because they did it, they think. So Quigley deals with this question: how do you let people think that they're directing their own political destiny when at the same time we, the elite, we are the ones who must direct their political destiny without them knowing it? How do you do that? And he answers the question brilliantly. He said, it's very simple. You've got to have two major political parties, and they'll both have the same major goals, the same basic fundamental principles, and they'll argue with each other on the surface with slogans and leadership and style and all of that sort of thing. He said, but we will control them both. There's the strategy. There's the whole scam behind this left-right paradigm. When you understand this history and this reality, you look at it and you say, well, yes, we've got a left wing and a right wing, but they're just opposite wings of the same ugly bird. And that bird is called collectivism.
I had lunch with a dear friend of mine today. He was concerned about my passionate pursuit of truth. If speaking out against tyranny is a danger, what country are we really living in?